Have you ever loved someone that God would not let you have? A love that makes you feel as if your heart belongs to them, but fate never allows your paths to stay together. In the stillness of the night, you fall to your knees, your hands clenched, your lips trembling as you whisper, "Why, Lord? I love them with all my heart. Why can I not be with them?" Some loves do not come to be possessed, they come to awaken you. When your soul feels it has found its other half, yet that person belongs to someone else, you cannot help but ask, is this punishment or is it a test? Sometimes, pain does not come to torment you, but to guide you toward understanding your own soul. Ibn Arabi, the mystic of divine love, once said, "Love is not just a feeling. It is the mirror through which the soul sees God." Love is not always given, so that we may hold on to it, but so that we may realize that God has always been there, right inside our heartbeat. Ibn Arabi said, "When you love, you do not truly see the other person, you see the reflection of God within them." Love moves you not just because that person is beautiful, but because they reflect something sacred that lives inside you. That person is the mirror God sends you, not so you can possess them, but so you can see your own soul. Maybe they were never meant to be yours, but rather for you, for a journey, for a moment, to awaken the deepest part of your heart. True love does not begin when two people hold hands, but when you realize that the other person is the doorway to your own self. Sometimes love does not come to stay. It comes so you can understand. God uses love as a mirror so that you may see him through the eyes of another human being. God does not punish us with loss. He teaches us through an incomplete love. You thought that love was a reward, but in truth, it was a lesson. You prayed to be with them, but God stayed silent because he knew that if he gave you what you wanted, you would never learn what you needed. We often believe that separation is the end, but in truth, it is the way God opens another door, a door that leads you back to him. When you lose someone, do not think that God has taken them away. Think that he is pulling you closer. The pain you carry is not punishment. It is the fire that purifies your soul, because only when your heart cracks open can the light of God enter. Look up. Even when everything seems to collapse, the light still shines down from the highest place, where he watches you with an eternal love. Ibn Arabi said, "Every soul is born with a reflection not to complete it, but to illuminate it." We call them twin souls. They do not come to live beside you forever. They come to awaken your spirit. Sometimes they pass through your life only briefly, but they leave an imprint that never fades. They appear when you are ready to learn, and they disappear when the lesson is over. So do not hate them. Thank them because they are your truest mirror. When you look into their eyes, you see both the light and the darkness within yourself. You see love, but also fear. You see longing, but also the weakness you once denied. Maybe they were not born to stay with you, but to awaken the part of your soul you had forgotten. That love is not a tragedy. It is a doorway to awakening. And if you can step through it, you will no longer seek love to fill the emptiness, but to give it. Love is not a place to stop. It is a bridge that leads you to God. But we often stop halfway, trying to hold on to someone, a memory, a feeling. And that is when we hurt, because the bridge was never meant for you to stop. It was meant for you to keep walking. When you love someone, you are not just learning to love them. You are learning to love through them. Because in the end, the destination is not the other person, it is God within you. When love brings you closer to God, that is sacred love. When it pulls you away from him, that is a test. Every love has a purpose. Some come to teach you joy, some come to teach you loss, and some come to teach you how to let go. Because sometimes, only when you let go, can you finally cross the bridge to the other side, where peace awaits. The music now softens, warm and tender. The pain remains, but it is no longer sharp. It turns into quiet gratitude. There are nights when you pray until no tears are left. You tell God, If I cannot have them, I do not know how to go on. But God stays silent. And you think he has abandoned you? Actually, not quite. When a prayer is not answered, it does not mean it has been denied. It means it has been redirected. You prayed to have that person, but God gave you growth instead. You prayed to hold on to love, but he gave you the wisdom to let it go. God never says no. He simply says, not in the way you expect, because he will never give you something that weakens you. He gives you what leads you back to him. And one day, when you look back, you will understand. What you were truly searching for was never that person. It was peace. Sometimes no is God's greatest gift. The music now rises, gentle and pure, like a final whisper of comfort. You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and in that moment, you no longer ask. You only whisper, I understand now, Lord. Perhaps your soul and theirs were written together, but not for this world. Some encounters seem accidental, but they were arranged long ago, in a place where time does not exist. God may not bind two people through marriage, but through light, through the memory of their souls. An invisible thread connects them, not through their hands, but through their hearts. There are souls that do not stay in our lives because they belong to another realm. When two souls pass by each other, there is a flash of light. Then it fades into the air, but its echo remains forever in your heart. Maybe that love is not complete in this lifetime, but it is already perfect in God's design. Because sometimes what we call loss is actually fullness in another life. You cannot know when two souls will meet again, but you can believe this. Somewhere in the world of light, God still holds that thread unbroken. A love unfinished in this life is not necessarily over. It is only resting, waiting to be written again in a more beautiful chapter, in a more peaceful realm. When you lose someone, you think your heart has shattered, but it is through those cracks that the light of God begins to enter. God has a quiet way of touching us through loss, because only when everything we cling to slips away do we begin to hold on to him. You think you are alone, but that is when God is closest. He takes away the one you love, so you can learn to love him with a love that is deeper, wider, and unconditional. Sometimes God does not leave you. He just wants to be alone with you. That moment when you sit in silence, tears falling but a soft smile on your lips, that is when your soul is coming back to life. You realize that love was never truly lost. It only changed its form, from a person into a light within you. And from that moment on, every breath, every prayer becomes a heartbeat of love between you and God. Ibn Arabi once said, everything in your life is a sign, and when love appears, it is how God speaks to you. Love is not merely an emotion. It is the language of God. He does not send you words. He sends you a person. Every glance that touched your soul, every touch that made your heart tremble, carries a message that only you can understand. If love makes you gentler, deeper, more compassionate, it is a blessing. But if it makes you dependent, fearful, or in pain, it is a test. Both are ways God speaks. For he does not only speak through happiness, but also through loss, through silence, through emptiness. Do not erase their trace from your heart. It is God's handwriting your lesson. So instead of trying to forget, listen. Listen to what God is trying to tell you through that love. Perhaps he is saying, you were born to love, but to love the way I do. When two souls truly love each other, the end is not separation, but dissolution, a dissolving of the small self, so both may merge into God. True love is not the union of two people. It is the disappearance of the self. We often think that to love is to possess, but in truth, love is to lose yourself, to lose, so you may become larger, deeper, and purer. Love does not demand possession. It calls for the melting of souls. When two candles burn close together, their flames merge into one, and no one can tell which flame belongs to whom. There is only a single light left. That is the symbol of divine love, where all boundaries dissolve and only God remains at the center of all love. In that moment, you realize you never truly lost that person, because both of you have already merged into the same source of light, the light of God. The music now swells, no longer sorrowful, but radiant and free, as if the soul has finally been released from the chains of the world. Every loss is not truly an ending. Every heartbreak carries within it an awakening. When your heart shatters, it is God whispering, "Look within." When you have nothing left to hold on to, you begin to find Him in every breath. And when you lift your head through your tears and say, "I accept, Lord," that is the moment the test ends. Not because you conquered it through strength, but because you surrendered through faith. You did not lose that person, you found yourself. You did not lose love, you returned to a greater love. Earthly love is only a small wave. When it breaks, you finally see the ocean, and that ocean is God. And when you understand that, everything that once caused you pain turns into gratitude. Ibn Arabi once said, "Souls tested by love are the souls most beloved by God," because He gives that lesson only to those who are deep enough, brave enough, and sincere enough to love. If you are walking through that pain, know this: you are not being punished. You are being shaped into light. God is teaching you to love the way He loves, without conditions, without demands, without fear. Lord, teach me to love the way You love, so that in every pain, I may find You. If you have ever experienced an unfinished love, share this video, because maybe someone out there is crying too and needs to hear this today. The music fades softly, melting into the silence. And as the screen slowly fades out, these words appear: love does not end. It only changes its direction toward God.